This video is part of the online course Europe and Young People: How Citizenship Works in the European Context. Which types of citizens do we have in Europe and why? Is there a pathway to building bridges between these different types of citizenships? As a dynamic process defining how we live together in society, the essence of citizenship is always finding a balance between individuality and solidarity, expressions of power and counterpower which are derived from shared or contested ideas, values, and norms. If citizenship in Europe is understood as a process of civic, political, and social orientation to the European society, which goes beyond the frame of legal rights of formal citizenship of the European Union, it is relevant to ask in which different ways citizenships manifest or are lived in Europe. What are the prerequisites for a person in Europe to be recognized, or recognize him or herself as a citizen in Europe? There are some persisting dilemmas which make it more difficult to find a common ground. The question of belonging to Europe is not self-evident even among those who have the legal status as European citizens within the European Union. At the very core of formal citizenship of the European Union is, for example, the right to move and reside freely, which enables studying, living and working in another member state. It has become evident, however, that those who relate to or benefit most from these rights are the highly educated and socio-economically well-off Europeans who travel a lot, speak several languages, and have large international networks. One could therefore argue that the citizenship of the European Union is in some ways more relevant for the elites than for the regular people. There are of course different variations in between, but it's important to remember that as a contrast to the highly mobile, cosmopolitan Europeans, there are many other people who have not even visited the capital of their own country, let alone travel to another country. What more is there to be discovered in citizenship in Europe beyond it enabling the cosmopolitan lifestyle choices? Further on, too often, only certain cultures, perspectives, or realities in the European societies are considered truly European. This creates polarized dynamics between countries and people, even though the societal values, norms, conventions, or political goals would not actually be comparably different. Adding to these dilemmas, many contemporary economic and political challenges have, in the past decade, questioned the ideal of the united and independent Europe associated with the post-Second World War period, and specifically the period after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Today, the role of the European institutions and the people in Europe to safeguard and continue developing inclusive and participatory forms of citizenships, which originate from diverse historical beliefs, traditions, approaches, experiences, understandings, expectations, and limitations, is even more important. To achieve a common ground, there is a continuous need to bridge the differences between very different citizenship orientations that currently prevail in Europe. To clarify the challenge, it's time to explore further these forms of citizenships. Professor Bryony Hoskins has identified at least 6 general types of citizenships in contemporary Europe that originate from different historical circumstances and political ideologies. Let's explore them a bit. Active citizenship, under the liberal concept, emphasizes the rights of individuals to participate or not politically. Education for active citizenship is focused on creating autonomous citizens who can act to support their own self-interest and to enhance their individual basic level of political knowledge and skills to achieve this end. Volunteering levels are typically high in countries that support this model of citizenship, as the state's role is typically smaller, but the volunteering is frequently performed to help others and look after the poor. That said, rarely is the situation or structure of society critically explored, and the status quo and positions of power are rarely changed. The neoliberal market global citizen takes individualism to a new level. These citizens are competitive, efficient, and productive, and succeed well in the global knowledge economy. They have plenty of rights and have the power, wealth, and expertise to assure these rights, but simultaneously feel few responsibilities to any state or anyone else. They travel the world consuming the diverse experiences and cultures on offer to enhance their individual wealth and careers. The civic republican approach places high demands on the citizen in terms of maintenance of the democratic processes and institutions, which in turn is supposed to assure greater freedoms. Civic republicanism emphasizes the need for citizens to act politically within the public sphere, in particular at the national level, and to be actively engaged within political community as equal and free citizens. Compared to the liberal tradition, this approach assigns both a greater obligation and greater value to political engagement and involvement in political decision-making. Civic republicanism is also associated with the values of patriotism and nationalism. The concept of global citizenship as opposed to citizenship alone more clearly situates the concept of citizenship within a broader geographical location than the national state towards being a citizen of the world. Thus, the legal notion of the citizen with rights and responsibilities within a particular nation-state is replaced by the less formal and more cosmopolitan sense of belonging and identifying with a global community, a common humanity, and sense of solidarity across the planet. A so-called seminal vision of cosmopolitanism describes a world where each individual in the world is a moral agent entitled to equal dignity and consideration, and where the priority of the nation-state is diminished. Critical citizen has been a catch-all title for various new theories that try to frame active citizenship. Aspects of civic competence considered prerequisites for critical citizenship are the ability to analyze critically social issues and injustices, for example, learning to ask why people are homeless instead of merely collecting money to feed them, and other social values, such as empathy and care. Global critical citizen, as the name would suggest, is a combination of the global and critical citizen. A global critical citizen combines the critical thinking and analysis of social injustices and clearly places them in a global context. Thus, global critical citizenship includes the values of global human rights and the ability to understand injustices and to act to create social justice within and between countries. What's emphasized as being important is that when individuals are involved in everyday actions and decision-making at any level, citizens understand and care about the relationship and effect of these decisions on other people all around the world. It's evident that citizenships in Europe could be articulated through any of these orientations. Nevertheless, they might not all have equal potential to contribute to the resolving of the dilemmas mentioned earlier. Which one of the approaches seems the most promising to you in constructing a citizenship in Europe you wish to be part of? This video is part of the online course Europe and Young People: How Citizenship Works in the European Context. The course has been funded with support of the Erasmus Programme in the field of youth.